Hi, and welcome to the Knitting Concierge, episode 7. I am Dawn Frankenfield. I am the Knitting Concierge. Hi, all you new subscribers from VKL. I'm so excited. We're still working on making that first 100 subscribers. I do believe I have a skein of yarn for a drawing when we reach that first 100 subscribers. So yeah, I'm eager to keep podcasting. So I'm going to try to limit this to about a half an hour, and then I'll make another one later. So the first thing that I'm going to do is talk about VKL, and that's Vogue Knitting Live in New York. I was there with my friend Rachel. And we had a great time. We stayed for the entire week. We arrived on Wednesday. We left on Wednesday. We saw a few Broadway shows. If you follow me on Instagram, you know. We tried some interesting food. I tried bao buns for the first time. They were really, really good. I liked bao buns. I got the vegetarian bao buns. They had mushrooms and I think kale. It was really, really good. I liked it a lot. And the soup I had was really good. It was wonton soup, I think, but it wasn't regular wonton soup. It was like a fresh vegetable soup, and it had a little bit of seaweed in it. So it did have that little tad bit of fishy flavor, but not so much that I didn't like it. It was good, and it was cold that day. And it was actually pretty cold in New York. So I'm very excited to get to it because I had the best time. It snowed. Of course, it snowed in the nighttime. So we really didn't get to play in it very much because they were already salting the roads before it snowed. They were salting the sidewalks. They were salting the roads so that it wouldn't build up. And in the city, it's warmer, so it doesn't collect as much. So it never really got a good snow. Now in Central Park, when we went to Central Park on I'm saying goodbye to somebody. When we went to Central Park to go a walk across it to get to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, there was plenty of snow and ice, and that was, I think, Monday. I think that was Monday. And we also stopped off at a little store called Nitty City, and I'll be posting. You know what? I'd forgotten my phone that day, so I don't have any video of Nitty City. I'm sorry. It is the tiniest little store. It reminds me of the first version of McKinney Knittery when it was a tiny little hole in the wall. Yeah, it is. It reminds me of that. It did have a nice selection of yarn. And I did buy some Angora, which I'll show you from my collection, my things that I have acquired. So I think I did very well in my purchases. So I do have some acquisitions to talk about. So the first I want to talk about is that I went to 3 classes. The reason why I chose to go to VK Live is because they do offer classes, and it's sort of like DFW in that way, and you can take classes in addition to just going to buy yarn. So I was very interested in that. So the first class I went to was knitting 2 socks at a time on double point on long circular. And I just could not imagine how you would get that sock on there. And I couldn't just see it in my head. And as soon as she told me to start it individually and then put them on and then go about your business, I was like, duh, Dawn. And it was like, I told her she changed my sock knitting life. She really did. Except now I have a whole bunch of one socks over there I need to knit. But on the other hand, they don't have to be the same ball of yarn. So I can knit 2 different socks at the same time and just put them on the needles, and they've got 2 different balls of yarn anyway. So I guess that's what we're going to be doing. The second class and that class was taken with Mina Phillips, which is Knitting Expat. And she was, she is really, all 3 teachers that I had were really excellent. I had been following them for a long period of time. On the Instagrams, I had known that they had been teaching for quite some time, and they really do take a lot of pride in their classes. So I did know that I wanted to learn 2 at a time socks by Mina Phillips, because the Lord, she puts out some socks, some serious socks every year. So if she can do it 2 at a time, so can I, and I learned how to do it. So I am eager to get those on the needles. The next thing I did was took a class with Make Your Own Sloper for sweaters by Drunk Knitter, which is Sophia. Oh my gosh, Sophia, I can't remember her last name. Sophia, it'll come to me. It starts with a T, I think, but I'm not for sure. Anyway, Sophia Talley. Thank you. Told you I would think about it. The Alzheimer's has not got me yet. So Sophia Talley, Drunk Knitter, aka on Instagram and stuff, she really talked about how you can use your measurements, and we all measured each other, and we wrote down our measurements so that we can pick the appropriate size and then use those numbers to tailor the pattern or make one individually for ourselves. She talked about how our shoulders slope down and they're not square, and how to deal with that. She also talked about how making short rows. She really talked about, especially for us women of a certain age, how to make armholes that are our size. When we're making a sweater that, especially us bigger busted ladies, if we make a sweater that fits our full bust, our shoulders are going to be too big. And I remember from Ahohi Locatelli that she told me I had narrow shoulders, and she said to start using my upper bust measurement for my sweaters, and it changed my whole knitting sweater life when I learned that. And so I kind of knew that what my measurement was here. And so I was trying to figure out how to deal with the sleeve issue that, and Sophia really went into that a great deal. The class was just phenomenal. Really, I would recommend that class. The last class I had was just a joy. I wanted to learn a little bit more about designing a hat, or anything for that matter of thinking, in Fair Isle. Not that I'm going to turn into some designer or anything, but I do the reason I got into knitting was to make my own garments that appealed to me. And that would be individual. They would be one of a kind, mostly. So it appeals to me to create something using a pattern, but to tweak it in ways that I could do myself. And I figured a hat is a good way of starting that kind of a journey. She suggested hats, cowls, and mitts for playing around with colors and and headbands, the kind that cover your ears, the headbands that cover your ears, like the ski headbands, to play with color when you're making color swatches to see if the Fair Isle colors go well together. We spent the most of the time talking about color theory and how when you put one color against another color, the colors may change and the perception of the colors will change to the eye. We talked a lot about this. I also said to this teacher was MJ Mucklestone, Mary Jane Mucklestone. She's known by MJ. She was discussing how a lot of that, how the colors will look next to one another, because a lot of the time in Fair Isle, the colors are butted up right next to each other, and they need to you can make a choice. You can have them blend together, or you can have them be very opposite of one another so that they're very different. So you can see the design in them. Boho sweaters would blend more. But Fair Isle likes to have some definition in those colors. And we talked about that a little bit. We also talked about traditional motifs. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that class a great deal. Really, it needs to be an all-day class or a part 1 and a part 2 about color theory, and then actual planning it out on how you can adjust your stitch counts, because not all of the motifs will fit into the stitch count that you may have, and what's acceptable, how does that work, and things of that nature. So I've started on a little hat, and let me just share that with you, because it's right here in my little bag. I bought this cute little bag from Mabel. What they do is they take old quilts and they repurpose them. I mean, we're talking about quilts that people have given to thrift shops and things of that nature. And it's sort of sad because these are works of somebody's effort to care for their family, and to make something pretty in their home. So she takes these quilts and makes them into jackets and little bags. And I thought this was the cutest little bag. And inside this is Shelter, by the way, Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. And I have made a hat. And I started off with the circle and cross motif, which is very prevalent in Fair Isle. And then I learned my first lesson in color theory. There is some green in here. And it didn't work because it's the same value as this color sweatshirt. I used some green that I bought that was just a mini. I bought some minis of Shetland wool from another farm. But I made these little sheep, and I think they're pretty good. And they kind of stand out because let me just share with you the inside. Because let's share this with you. This is intarsia. This is not stranded knitting. This is strictly intarsia. Each one of these black faces is its own individual piece of yarn. And so the inside is just full of all these ends for each one of these little sheep going around. And then what I did was I took I bought these, the doodle cards. I think the basic doodle card deck. And I took one of the cards in this deck, and then I made this up at the top. And I stopped here because I wanted to decide whether I wanted to put a motif on the top of the hat and into the crown and make the crown itself a design. And so I hadn't decided what I wanted to do with that. Whatever the design is, it has to fit within the stitch count so that when I go up, the design in it has to be get smaller so that I can decrease the crown. So I was really pleased actually with the way that this turned out. I used one of the other doodle cards for this on the bottom, but I knew what I was doing on that one. I bought 2 sets of doodle cards. I bought a farm doodle set, and that's where I got I used the big sheepy right there as the face of my sheep and the little legs. It has pigs and horses and cows and apples and barns and whatnot. And I think in this portable, it's a Stitch Dictionary, I think there are 24 in here, if I'm correct. And in this one, there is 52 in the basic. So they have all different kinds. They have magic and fantasy and unicorns and all kinds of things. But those are the ones I bought. I can see myself getting more. I like the idea of having just a little repeat, and it would help to create several different things in a cowl or a hat, or even a yoke that goes around. I thought that was quite interesting. Also, I took this opportunity to try some Prym, P-Y-R-M, needles. They are plastic. I do have to say, I do like the cord. So they're not a bad choice, and they're not expensive whatsoever. I know that Arnie and Carlos have been using Prym and have been hawking Prym on their site for quite some time. So this was a really nice little find tonight about that. The other thing is I went at the same place when I bought the Mabel. I bought this, which is let me open it for you. It's another little sashiko thing. It has some sashiko threads. It has some patches, and it has some double-sided tape so you can attach the patch to the garment so that it doesn't move, so you can actually do the work. Come with a little needle. It's like a little sashiko mending kit that you can take with you and work on whatever you want. I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to see some other threads to do that with. And I thought it was very cutely packaged as well in some grease paper. The other thing I did was, okay, I bought myself a quantity, a sweater's quantity of wool in I'm just like, okay. Alrighty. This is not going well at all. And now you know why we plan ahead for things. Because my little socks, my little baby socks, because in Mina Phillips' class, we made little baby socks. So we could make some socks and get through the heel in there. This is the little baby socks, 2 at a time. The heels are already on, and I'm already in the rest of the body, doing the foot of the body, or a foot of the little baby socks. So the next thing I wanted to share with you was that I got a skein of Big Bad Wool because I had 3 white skeins of Big Bad Wool, and I saw a hat that was on McKinney Knittery, the site on Instagram, and she had made a really fast Big Bad Wool hat in Weepaka, and I had 3 skeins of white Weepaka, and I thought, you need a little something, something. So I bought this like kind of chartreusey green, like spring grass green. I don't know if it has, it's called Tree Frog. Tree Frog. And in the Weepaka. So that was something I bought. And then I bought a sweater's quantity of the Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift to make a porty cardigan. I'm going to make the porty cardigan in this black, but you'll see that it's flecked with all those different colors in it. Isn't that cool? It's called Miri Dancer. Miri are the Northern Lights. The Miri Dancers are the Northern Lights, and there you go. All the colors of the Northern Lights in the night sky. I love this color. As soon as I really kind of pulled this out, I liked it. And then we pulled out the colors that were in that to make the others. And I have these colors here. So what we have are these right here. And I have a 4th color. Oh, no, that's it. I have a 4th color, I do believe. Maybe not. I was really on the fence about this, like a bold blue color. It was a cobalt blue, and I just loved it. If you ever see Tammy from Wing and a Prayer Farm at the VKL Live, she was wearing a porty cardigan, a porty pullover, and she had the color in this, it's a really bold cobalt blue, and I really liked it, but I couldn't see how I would use it, and so I sort of stuck with these colors here, but I bought a set of for the porty cardigan. Then across the way, there were several farm yarn booths there. Some of them were sharing a booth. I'm assuming that the booth at VKL Live is very expensive. So there were like 3, sometimes maybe even 4 booth mates in one booth that they were farm yarns. And this one was from Fernbridge Farm in Vermont. And she has Shetland, registered Shetlands. And actually she has a few, her herd of sheep, commune of sheep. I don't know the group name for sheep. Anyway, her group of sheep, some of the original sheep that she had came from Tammy, because Tammy is one of the ones who started bringing registered Shetlands and started breeding up for the Malinois Black Nose. She is quite the accomplished woman, and you know, she's been at it for quite some time and really has brought those sheep to our United States. If I remember correctly, she may be the first one who brought Malinois Black Nose to the United States in a long, long time, if at all, before, and started the breeding up program here in the United States. But I bought these minis of the Shetland sheep from the Fern Bridge. And I really like them a lot. And so I'm thinking of putting them with some other Shetland sheep I have, or maybe some shelter that I have, to make some kind of a hat or cowl or something with this, maybe even a hat and mitt combo with these colors. I'm really kind of fond of them, but the issue is that several of these are of the same value. So they cannot go next to one another. Like this and this are the same value. And interestingly enough, this is the same value as those three. But this is a different value. You'll see it's a bit darker and deeper. So these cannot go like really next to one another. Otherwise, you will completely lose them in there unless you have something to put in between them. Here's another. I love that color. Anyway, those are some things I bought there. I also bought from Yankee Rock Farm. I wanted to knit with this 100% Finn sheep. Finn sheep is a long staple length sheep. It's from Icelandic sheep, I think. Finn sheep. Those sheep live in the cold, just so you know. They're big, shaggy sheep. Anyway, it is really fluffy soft. And here is a picture of a little baby one. Isn't cute? Look, is a baby cute. Yeah. Adorable. Baby sheep and baby goats. I'm just saying. You and me both. So I thought I was actually done. I didn't, I bought a little bit. I had that little thing of the bag from Mabel. I bought the Shetland. Oh, here's the other one from this color. And that's the one I used for grass, but it didn't show up on the sweatshirt. And here's two other colors I got. So I ended up with 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors of the Shetland. So all of these together. Yeah. So I'm excited to do something with this. Okay. Then at the end, polka dot sheep. Adorable. She's from Montana. I heard through the grapevine that she was the rest of her yarn in her shop on Sunday afternoon was 25% off because she didn't want to have to pay to take back all the yarn. The shipping costs would have been prohibitive. So I had really resisted going in there. I was really enamored with her colorways. She had a lot of really deep saturated colors, and they were right in my wheelhouse. And I resisted. And then they told me it was 25% off. What's a girl to do? That was my husband. So I decided that I would get a sweater's quantity, and I started off with this lovely kind of steel gray. It's called Stumptown in her Scenic Byway, or Stumptown DK in the Scenic Byway colorway. Scenic Byway. And I really liked that color. But I wanted something for kind of a simple yoke, like an arboreal sweater or something like that, that had one color, and it would be a nice with a variegated yarn. So I got 2 skeins of that, and I got that in the Glacier Storm. And you can see how this colorway just really echoes in there. And look at that. Look at this. So cool. So, that I got. And then because I spent more than $100, I got a cute little measuring tape with her little polka dot sheep on it, which was adorable and cute. And so I got a sweater's worth for that. And then this is also the Angora that I picked up. Can you see it? Angora Mist. And it's kind of flat because I had to stuff it in my bag. And so I'm going to make a pair of mitts or something with this. It only comes in these little tiny put-ups. This is a Plymouth yarn, Angora. I just wanted to play with it. This is an experiment. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I was told that Angora yarn is very warm. And so I want to just try it out. So that went into my bag. And that's the yarn I got from Knitty City. And then one more thing. We went to the Strand bookstore in New York City because Roth, Rachel, and I are bibliophiles. And the Strand has brand new books next to used books. And I was in the knitting section sitting on the floor, as you do. And I found an original copy of the Knitting Angora, or Knitting Around book by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And I have yet to read it, but it really helped me understand how Icelandic sweaters would go together. And I couldn't see, I was reading an Icelandic design book, and they knit them from the bottom up, and then the sleeves, and then they join the sleeves into the body. And I couldn't figure it out in my head how that would work. So I wanted to see it, and sure enough, I'm poking through these books, and I find this book, and like on page 20 is this directions for that. And I also bought the Opinionated Knitter by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And I haven't even really opened it yet, but it looks really cool. Has a lot of stories. It's her newsletters that she would send out. And it also has different pictures of hats and sweaters in it. There's the Magic Baby Sweater, I think it's called. Magic Baby Sweater. Baby Magic Sweater. Oh, it's the Surprise Baby Sweater, I think it's called. Surprise Baby Sweater. Anyway, I bought these. They were both used, and I got them at the Strand. And to match my little bag from Mabel, I got a little Notions pouch to go with it. So this will be my little hat or sock thing right next to my chair here. I wanted to thank you for listening today. I was very excited to hear, to be able to go to VK Life. It was real small this year, from what I understand. I don't know if I would go again. The classes were really good. I think if I went again, I would spend more time taking classes than I would doing something else. I think the class schedule and selection was excellent. So I probably would have done that. So I don't want to spend too much of your time when I try to keep it to that 30 minutes. I know it's already 36. So have yourself a great day. And knit on, my friends, knit on. Thanks. Bye.